Hey guys, we're finally back for part 2 of our Justin Posey Beyond the Map's Edge story evaluations. We're going to try not to keep it short tonight, not be too long. So we're going to dive right in because there's a lot to unpack here. I'm Emma.
I'm Jam, and we are Treasure Hunt with us. Fresh off you being boots on the ground all week, all over the place. You were in Montana, you went a little bit into Wyoming, and you were in Arkansas. You were all over the place.
Technically, I was in Idaho for a minute.
That's true. That's how we do it. So we're out there. It's important to get to these areas. We try to tell people, get boots on the ground. You got to at least try to see it. But if we would have went in June, when a lot of people were thinking about going to Montana, we wouldn't have known this is closed or this is closed or you can't get here. And so because it would have been open then, and you would have never said it can't be here, right? So great recon. We're really happy about that. But now, finally, we're going to dive back into the chapters. But before we do that, like, comment, and subscribe. Why? We went over 1,000. It's insane. I can't believe it. Thank you guys so much. We really, really, really appreciate it. This is crazy. We were like, let's just do some videos to look back on. And now we're at 1,000.
Well, it's so ironic when you think about it, because we really were like, nobody's ever going to watch these. And we just want to talk about these books and we want to treasure hunt and we want to do it. And there's this need, right? There's this need that we had. And now we're like, all we're trying to do is fill that need. And we're having such a great time and people are having fun with us. I mean, every once in a while somebody tells us they don't like us or we're annoying.
We're not for everybody. Who is for everybody? There's people I watch and I'm like, oh, this is hard video to get through, and that's okay, right? You know, you don't have to be perfect. We're not perfect, but we're happy with the community. Yeah, sorry. We're happy with the community and the interaction we have and the people we're meeting, the friends we're making. I did not expect this. That's not what I was expecting. But anyways.
And for those who stuck around and for those who kind of push through and watch us as we learn to do this a little bit better and as we continue to learn to do this a little bit better, thank you. Thank you for your subscription. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your comments. The comments are amazing. I love to read them. I love to respond to them. And I'm just blown away by the generosity of information and kindness from this community. It's so fantastic.
Yes.
So we said we were trying to keep it short.
We got to get in.
Okay, so we left off on the Fitzwaters. That was the last thing we did. Today we're starting with Posies on the Road.
Posies on the Road. That's right. He talks about going to Alamo Gordo. I hope I'm saying that right. Alamo Gordo. Yes.
It's interesting because this chapter, he talks about Fitzwater. That was his mother's dad. And now we're talking Posies on the Road. And I think that it's interesting how he remarks about like back and forth between each sides of the families, right? Like, so he's got the Fitzwaters and he's got the Posies and the Fitzwaters and the Posies. But now we're going to go back to back because it's like Posies on the Road and then it's Posy Land. So a back-to-back Posies. I guess he is a Posy, so that makes sense. But it was just interesting. And we're of course going to try to get to the most important chapter of this book story of this book now, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know if we're going to make it all the way to what I thought was the most important one, Gracie's Grail, but it turns out the most important one we need to try to get to at least look a little deeper in, the postal pilgrimage. He said the postal pilgrimage, for those that don't know, in the interview, go watch it. He said, FYI, that is his favorite story. So we're going to look a little deeper into that one, see if we can find anything in it. At first, when I read through it, I didn't have much. So I had to reread it. Now I got a couple things that sounds like gibberish to me now. Now that it's not 3 a.m, it sounds a little bit more like gibberish, but whatever. I got some notes on it and we're going to go through it.
So the one thing I would say is when we're reviewing these things, it's like some of them are short and some of them are long. And it's important to remember that during our interview, Justin said, some are just stories and some have clues. And so when we're reviewing these, we're looking for, is this a story or are there clues in here?
Right. Is it a get to know him or is it to figure it out?
Right.
So good stuff.
So you have to look at the thing that we do, and I will go to it right now, but the thing that we do when we start to review the chapter, because we're looking for the patterns, right? We're looking for the rhythm, and we're looking for the rhyme and the time and all the things and the wisdom and the this and the that. So should we do the piece that we do every time? Let's read the poem.
Read the poem. Here we go.
Yes. Can you find what lives in time, flowing through each measured rhyme? Wisdom waits in shadowed sight for those who read these words just right. As hope surges clear and bright, walk near water's silent flight. Round the bend, past the hole, I wait for you to cast your pole. In Ursa East his realm awaits, his bride stands guard at ancient gates. Her foot of 3 at 20°, return her face to find the place. Double arcs on granite gold, where secrets of the past still hold. Beyond the reach of time's swift race, wonder guards this sacred place. Truth rests not in clever minds, not in tangled, twisted finds. Like a river's steady flow, what you seek, you already know.
Which I find interesting because I seek it and I don't already know. So
it's interesting because every time I read it, I hear clues in my head, like, oh my gosh, what about this? And we talked about boots on the ground, and we'll probably have a lot more about that later. But being boots on the ground this last time in Montana, specifically in that Dillon area, it's rich with potential for all of the words of that chapter. So much richness, so much richness. To the point that I'm trying to convince Jam to go back to Montana on the weekend after Mother's Day. So anybody who wants to comment, do it, Jam, do it. We should start pressing him to push to come with me, to meet me in Montana to go boots on the ground.
Yes, so well, some of us still have kids that are getting close to graduating high school and going into high school. So some of us aren't able to just fly out.
And some of us want to find treasure. I mean, you just got to
all right. Thanks. The chapter, Posies on the road. Hey. The crossing Texas Canyon. Not me, apparently.
Every family has this parent. In our world, our mom was always late. And in Justin's world, it was his dad that's always late, right?
Well, was he late or did he just go by dad time?
That's exact.
That's true.
Not to be confused with Eastern Standard or Central Standard, even Mountain Time. It's Dad Standard Time. And I just cannot fathom that because I had children. I didn't lose them. They didn't run away. When I had smaller children, the thought of starting a road trip in the middle of the evening or like 7 o'clock at night is mind-blowing to me. But I feel like you said to me once recently that you thought that was the best time to do it.
It is. So when we went to Seattle on a family gathering with my wife and kids, we left at like 9 o'clock at night. And guess what? They slept the whole time. It was great. I drove the whole way in peace and silence. I didn't have any, are we there yet? Are we there yet? We almost there yet? I'm hungry. I have to pee. It was great. It was great. I highly recommend people do it that way. Leave late at night if you can stay up that late. Me, I'm a night person. So I thought I was going to drive till like 4 a.m. I ended up going all the way through. So it was pretty crazy. It was like 8 a.m. I'm like, I'm pretty tired now. I think I'm going to need to sleep, but we were like an hour away. So we just finished it. So,
well, like yesterday we did 14 hours. The problem for me is when I'm driving, I'm singing along like it's a concert. Like you didn't know you were attending a concert. You're welcome. It's free. Yeah. I don't think my kids could have slept through that. Maybe that's why I couldn't do it that way. Well, that and Scott and I are really morning people. Like we start our day crazy early, like 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
So 4:30, but
yeah, you guys would not make it through the night. So
okay, so but I thought that was a really interesting thing is that their dad just started his trips when he started their trips, and that's just you didn't know when you were going to depart. You just departed when it was time.
Yeah, and this chapter talks about how his dad makes him calculate the miles per hour by and he still does it to this day, he says. And boy, that's a great way to get your kids to do math and stuff like that. Oh, my speedometer doesn't work. Can you double check it? I don't want to get a ticket. So I love that.
Well, and I love how you see when you can tie together how in Golden Greed you see Justin packing for the trips, and he's using the bins, which might be considered a container, but we'll leave that alone for another day.
They are a container, but they didn't seem airtight to me.
I mean,
they could be.
I don't know.
Oh. Is that how that works?
That's spare tighting.
Yeah.
Now you know. But you see that he learned those patterns of packing like that from his father. He says, the journey always began with a ritual as sacred as an ancient ceremony. So they did it as an ancient ceremony. Sorry about that. They did it the same way every single time. So then you see that in Golden Greed, and actually, if you're listening to different interviews with Justin, or different Zooms or podcasts that he's been part of when he was doing Forest Fed, it always started with how he prepared for the trip. And I thought that was very interesting, because that was something he learned from watching it all his life, right?
Right. Exactly. So I don't know if you have any more on this. The only thing he talks about is Deming, right? Whose claim to fame, of course, is good water and fast ducks. I don't even know what that means. Are ducks faster in certain areas? Well, they are in Deming.
I think that's hilarious. I grabbed a couple other things. I don't know if you remember, when we were little, we went on a road trip to Pismo Beach with our aunt and our older sister, and we turned the whole back of her station wagon into like a little playground. We had board games, we had all kinds of stuff. We're sliding around, but we're guys having a great time. And I just thought I can really identify with that, and that's something that's gone from today. You would never let your kids just play in the car in the back while you're driving along. I thought that was kind of cool. I thought there was an interesting use of numbers in this chapter, and the talk about pre-Gizmo days. Now you had to kind of entertain yourself. You talk about Deming's claim to fame, and I think the main thing that I took from them this whole chapter was the continued use of the word time, and the references to time, and how the big deal when he got there was his grandma said to him, you made good time,
Right. They use the word time a lot in that chapter.
Right. And they talk about how the slower traffic cleared out ahead of them, like, so fast and slow, rhythm, rhyme, time, lots of it.
I still don't get how you didn't get fastest duck as the biggest clue. But we will go on to Posy Land. He's now officially.
I'm not saying it's not a good clue. I'm just saying, why would I say it if you've already said it?
We will now. He's now officially in Alamogordo, and they journey to Cloudcroft in the Sacramento Hills.
For Posy's Land.
That's right. They talk about Posy Land, even having a Posy cottage in a museum there. So They're pretty famous in this area, apparently. So,
well, not if you walked to the gift shop, there wasn't even a postcard with their name on it.
Yeah, that's weird. So.
And it's interesting because as you're kind of going through Justin's journey as his childhood, right? And you're learning about him and how, like, this was something they did every time. So it wasn't like it was new each time they came there, right? They would make they would go to Alamogordo, and then they'd go up to Cloudcroft, which is where their family's heritage really kind of began in this area, up from Cloudcroft Mayhill. And in that time, they'd go walk through the shop, and I love the story. As a person who can basically puke on command, I love the story of when he, got hit with all the smells, and he didn't know that was something that bothered him, and he left his mark on that store. And they had projectile vomited everywhere. It was impressive, like a fire hydrant. I mean, I've done it. I literally did it like 3 weeks ago when I was doing physical therapy, and one of the things he recommended was dry noodling, and I was so tight and so sore, and it was the second round, and the lady hit me just right, no warning, boom, fire hydrant. I could identify with that, like where you're not expecting it.
Yeah, exactly right. That's not the only time that's happened for you. So,
but I love that he's like, the Posy's name was meant to be remembered in Cloudcroft one way or another, and whether it was with their cute little cabin, or him making his mark in the like vomiting everywhere in that gift shop, that was just pretty funny to me.
Exactly. So they talk about going out to Benito Lake. So this is a fishing story, and as you know, there's fishing in this poem. So I think this is important to read. I got out of it. His dad is the master of naming fish, and that rivals Forrest Fenn. So, and that makes me think we should have asked, does he think a fish has the last name Hole? Are we looking for a fish again? I don't think so.
And he says that you need to learn to think like a trout in this chapter. Like, that's a huge important.
Dude, what do trouts think? Oh, look at that shiny thing over there. They got like ADD, that's all.
Well, and his favorite trout is the golden trout.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what video I watched where he said that that's not his favorite. It's his favorite trout to catch, but that's not his favorite trout to eat.
Ooh, that's good stuff.
I
like his dad's theory about trout psychology that involves water temperature lunar phases, and possibly the fish's zodiac sign. I thought this was really important because people are diving deep into the star patterns and astrology and the zodiac signs and all that. It's all connected, lunar phases. So I thought that was really interesting.
I do see that as potential of a clue.
Yeah.
Like, not just the story. I think that that's something he's saying. Hey, look at these. Look at the zodiac signs. Look at lunar phases. Look at that. There's something to be had there.
Yeah, that's actually all I had in that chapter. I didn't have anything else.
Point out that his family always was trying to catch either Old Johnson, the trout, which is one of the ones that he talked about. Like his dad always had a story about Old Johnson, or one of Old Johnson's grandchildren or children. This might be Old Johnson's grandson. But I think
he remembers us Posies. Yeah,
like the generations of fish were like, always watch out for a Posy, and the generations of Posies were like, hope I catch an Old Johnson, right?
Right.
Because they just knew each other. It's almost like the Hatfields and McCoys, right?
Right.
But I do love how this chapter ends. Impossible things could happen if only someone was watching.
Yes.
That's big. That's big.
I'm watching you. Let's see you do the impossible and find the treasure.
I will.
Okay, good, because I'm watching you.
I know, but if only you could watch me on the weekend after Mother's Day, that would be fantastic.
That would be nice.
Well,
this is it. We're here.
So when we said it, that Justin said that we asked him, like, one of our questions was, what's your favorite story of the book? And he thought about it. He really thought about it, because I mean, there's a lot here. This book is dense, and he actually said with his own words that he felt like the book was too large and had gotten a little out of control, and
he left stories out. I want those stories. Make a little novelette or something like that where we can get the rest of the stories.
Didn't make the cut. This is the thing, but he said that he called out that the postal pilgrimage was his favorite story of the whole book. He didn't say it's filled with clues. He didn't say it directs you to the poem, but he said it's his favorite. And to me, if something's your favorite and you've written a book about a treasure hunt, there's got to be something there. But I always thought that there was something here.
Well, I didn't. And here's the thing about it too, is if I was trying to think, they're asking me my favorite story, probably because the reason we asked what his favorite story was, because his favorite story probably would be rich in clues. I'm going to think of the one that is least likely to have anything in it. And originally I didn't have like anything on this one. And I think that could be why. So yes, we're going to go deeper into this. I've actually found a lot more stuff into it because it's his favorite story. We'd be dumb not to really study this one hard. So,
but there's a lot of references here. And so, sorry, I just wanted to turn to my quick little notes. But there's a couple things in here that the first few times I read it, I was like, okay, yeah, that's important. That's big. That is what it is. But it's not. There's a couple things I thought of that when I read it again, because I knew we were going to do this video, and I was like, oh. And now that I've been boots on the ground, I actually wonder about a location based on a clue, what I believe is a clue in this chapter. So I'm going to talk about that. Don't let me forget to talk about that.
I will definitely not let you forget. But let's start with, he talks about Narnia again in this chapter, and we know that time moves at a different rate in Narnia, right? And it's like 100 years for every year or something like that.
Yeah, but he referred to this as a mission, like
right.
A life-threatening mission, of course, because there are rattlesnakes involved. But he said that it's a mission. So I'm like, a mission? Okay, let's talk about that. And that Grandpa was sending him on a quest so lengthy that he thought he would return with beards and tales of adventure. And isn't that like, if Justin's poem is so analytical and so hard to solve, that we may be on a quest so lengthy that we'd return with beards and tales of adventure. I really hope I don't grow a beard, for what it's worth. I'm against it.
You might.
So. I feel like you've been so involved, you grew a beard. So, I mean, is it a short one? Is it a long one? I really don't know. I hope I don't grow beards.
Yeah, so I have also just something, a little note. It probably means nothing, but he does mention forked tongue. He actually mentions it twice. And for some reason in my head, it just popped in like a forked river. It's very popular to have for rivers to be forked and stuff. And I don't know why all of a sudden my head just went forked river. And every time I read it, it's like forked river, but just something to mention. So.
I don't think you're too far off. I also think it was interesting that it's not 2 minutes into this Homeric journey, or like all of Homer's stories, the Iliad and the Ecstasy. Is that what it is? I think so. All of his stories all are about this great pilgrimage of a hero, and but the underlying always is about honor and friendship and loyalty. And I just think that those are the kinds of things that he truly embodies when you think about it. And there's something a little bit almost morose in this that I want to talk to as we get on. But I love how he goes, I think I hear a rattlesnake. Oh, do you hear a rattlesnake? And then Grandpa goes, no, you will get the mail.
Yeah, exactly. I like the fast where he ran in. He was red-faced and panting. He's red-faced and panting. And I thought this was interesting because there's a story about the red-cheeked woman. We're not going to go into it. You can look it up. It's ancient lore that could be applied to the poem. It's really interesting stuff that I've read. So when I read that again, I'm red-faced. I'm like, oh man, why is red? Oh yeah, red-cheeked woman. So something you guys might want to look up. Really interesting stuff.
Right.
So.
But I also found that interesting. He's like, I mean, why do I got to go? I mean, there's clearly rattlesnakes. Why do I go with the mail? Are you waiting for a timely receipt of the Sears catalog? A timely receipt, another reference to time. Is doomed and eternal postal retrieval. And he goes back out to the Rattler's lair, and there's that sound again.
Well, you mentioned Rattler's lair, and let me just tell you the breakthrough I had. And I'm like, Rattler's lair. And then he talks about the snakes, the two snakes falling in love. That's the bride. That's his realm. That's me at 3 a.m. going, oh my gosh, I need sleep. Because I was like, wait, is the snake the him and the other snake's the bride? And then I'm like, oh God, it's too late. Time for sleep.
Does this story, because there's snakes and rattlesnakes, specifically trigger you?
Yeah, this is my least favorite story. I had nightmares for years because we wanted to go to a rope swing, and it's a switchback to get up to the rope swing. And you, and our older sister were like, let's just take the shortcut. We'll just go straight up through. And as we're going through.
You're not virtuous. We're children.
No. And for some reason, I'm in front, and I stop, and what felt like a foot, but was more probably like 5 to 6 feet away from me, was a rattlesnake rattling. And I didn't know. I was so young then. What, 6, 7, 8? I don't know. I was pretty young.
If that's the time that I let go of the rope and Mom had to come up the hill and grab me and carry me down because I hurt my knee,
yeah,
I would say that probably makes you about 8.
Yeah, I think I was about 8. I thought it was a cobra, right? I had been playing this game Pitbull. I thought it was a cobra, and I freeze. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And that was my freeze flight. What's it called? I froze. And you're behind me going, come on, go, pushing me towards this rattlesnake that's coiled up, ready to strike me down. And then finally, I'm able to go, snake! And then we all took off running. Needless to say, we never did that again. So
we didn't do it like that. But here's the thing: rattlesnakes. There's different kinds of snakes. So there's rattlesnakes, and then there's copperheads. Copperheads, they would have come after us. We would have run. They would have followed. Right? Rattlesnakes, they're rattling because they're warning you. Hey, this is my turf. Get the hell away.
Hey. In my mind, I remember seeing eggs, which is probably not true, but that's how my mind as a kid made that up. But I had nightmares for years.
Gold bars. We can go back. That's right there.
Reoccurring nightmares. I hate snakes now because of you. So,
your fault. We were trying to.
So Justin, I feel you, man. Your grandpa put you in that situation. My sister put me in that situation.
Your sisters put you in that situation. Your sisters, like, you try to remember it's just me.
You were the one pushing me. She was behind you. So
I remember that story. But that's okay. Here's what I will say though. When you think of our childhood, you think about how every Saturday morning we would jump on a bike and we were gone. It would be like the sun was up, we put a cheese sandwich or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in our backpacks, and we were gone. There were creeks to crawl through. There was hills to slide down. We had things to do. And I think about how busy I always thought we were. That going up that hill to go jump on or to ride on that swing, that was important. That was a rite of passage to young children. And I think we're lucky that we did that. You don't see that anymore. Kids today, they don't know what it's like to trump up a hill and go. Well, I mean, that's most kids. My kids, sadly, like my son's got moccasin or water moccasin stories. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. I'm the worst mom ever that I just let you go out and wander the world with your his buddies who were doing the same kind of things that we did. I felt like that meant I gave him a great childhood. And all I can think is I'm so lucky I didn't have more ER visits.
That is the truth. We've had plenty of ER visits doing like, stupid, crazy stuff.
Same thing. I'm like, what? You did what?
Yes.
But all I do know that he said it was the second time. So his grandpa said for the second time, go get that mail. Like I always wonder, like, so like for me now, as I'm looking for clues, I'm looking for things like, is there something in reference to the mail? Is that there?
He also said he was waiting for his follow-up from his grandpa, maybe some grandfatherly wisdom. So he uses the word wisdom again. Obviously, there's a wisdom in Montana. There's wisdom in the poem. So anytime I see those words, I mark them, including, he says, this time, which to me was just him saying this time, was not a time reference per se. It just felt like a naturally placed one. But he does mention the word time shortly after, too.
Right, but you know what he does again? He also talks for a second time about it was time to go. I don't come back without completing my mission.
That's right. So
my mission this time, you know, I'd better be sporting some impressive fang marks. And he's like, really "Well, loses the imaginary snake, but guess what? That snake wasn't imaginary."
Well, when he goes back out, right? And this is something he said that's weird to me, and it could just be weird to me because I know the truth of it or whatever. There's actually like 4 of them, but he says his fight or flight response were kicked in, and he chose flight. Fight or flight, he chose flight. But it's not that. I actually just mentioned it. It's actually freeze, fight, or flight. Actually, I think there's one more. If I should ask my wife, she'd know and stuff like that. And he definitely, like me, chose froze. He did not choose flight. Flight means you ran away. He froze. So either he just didn't understand that there was a third one, or maybe there's something to flight, right? Because did he just misuse it? Or is that a clue? Probably just a misuse, but something I noted because it is freeze. He froze. That's what he did. That's what I did. So that's how I know that for a fact. So when I read this story, I'm like, no, you didn't flight, sir. I wanted to flight, but I did not. I was being pushed forward.
Well, I do think, though, so try to remember, too, like, of his demographics. So these are not things he talks about. He doesn't have the psychology degree behind this. We come from a demographic in an era where it was fight or it was flight, and then eventually it became freeze, flight, or fight.
I think there's one more now. So
really,
I don't know. I'll find out. Maybe I'll put it in the comment. Actually, what's it called? My wife's gonna watch this video. Put in the comment. What's the 4th one? I think there's a 4th one. Put it in there. People down below can look for it.
She'll know. She'll be like, oh my God.
She'll know. She could just be like, it's only 3. What are you talking about? You're being an idiot.
Even like, I think I told you the story about how when we were floating down the river up in the mountains in Bessemer City, how we had come down at once, and that the first time we came down this river, it forked, and we accidentally went the easy way. We didn't even get to enjoy the whitewater way when we were in these little tubes, right? Second time we're coming down, and this woman's standing in the middle of this river, and I'm like, why is this woman standing in the middle of this river? Like, that's a really weird place to stand. This is a rapid. You're standing in a rapid. Why would you be doing that? And all of a sudden, my fight or flight kicks in. Like, it instinctively kicks in. So I'm like, you're stuck. And she's like, yes, like that. And so, like an idiot, I jump off my raft because I'm going to go help this woman who's stuck in the middle of a whitewater rapid. And so I'm like, I jump off my raft. I climb back to her. I try to get her out. I can't get her. Literally 2 tubes go right over the top of both of us. It kicks me off. I hit the wall again. I climb back, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't help this woman. I need help to help this woman. So I'm sitting there holding this woman's chin up. I'm like, and I start screaming at people on the shore because there's like 75 people watching this woman just stand like it's not a big deal. Because if you don't know when something's happening, you don't know. If you don't have a natural fight and you're more of a flight, you may just be like, well, that woman really likes rapid. She's just standing there and her foot was stuck. And so I'm like, yeah, she's stuck.
Mhm.
911. But across the top, there was this gravel road. And I see these feet running, right? And I recognize that we give our children fight or flight as well. And my son comes jumping in, and I'm terrified. I'm like, don't come down here. I don't need your help.
Mhm.
I don't want your help. Go take your flight or your fight, which you naturally have, and go take it over there and be a flight. You can't help it. So I think that when Justin's telling the story, and my son did jump in and climb down my body, grab this foot and yank it in the middle of this river while two grown men are holding her arms like this because she's drowning. That one was going to drown, right? I think about this about how Justin's like, oh my God, I was flight and I couldn't move. But I can feel that grandpa when that grandpa comes out there, like, what's taking you so long to get the mail? And you see two snakes near the feet of your grandchild. All I can think is you might hate snakes, but in that moment, you're going to go grab a shovel and you're going to kill those bad boys.
Right. So he might have been a freeze, but there he was a fight. Killed those dang snakes.
Yeah, just killed them. You know, it had that romance. I love how he calls it Cupid in his infinite wisdom had chosen my grandfather's dusty driveway as the perfect spot for snake love to blossom.
Again, wisdom, and that he was stuck smack dab in the middle of it. So I thought that was interesting. The smack dab in the middle of it, wondering if it's in the middle of somewhere. What?
There's a lot of numbers in this chapter. It's like, so I always note the numbers in the column. So if you ever see my book, it's like there's writing, there's things underlined, there's writing everywhere. But I always note there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot of sound. It's like 2 minutes, then there's a second time, and then there's one snake, and then a second rattler. It's so, and then the use of the thing that we missed was when he talks about how he marched down the driveway like Helen Keller in a tambourine factory, steadfastly ignoring the rattling sound. But I mean, again, these references to rhythm and sound, they're huge, right? And then the numbers, you have second or two and a third and 1,000 and eons and 2 and 35. So much numbers, so much time, so much wisdom in this, and missions.
Yes. He also talks about his silent screaming, which I think whisper might be part of it because he mentions silent and quiet, and he mentions whisper so much in this book. Even later on, he says he pulls down the jar of rattlesnake or the old rattles that his grandpa keeps for him, and he still listens to their hollow whisper. So there's a lot of whispers in here. So that could be something to do with the silent part.
Too high with the granite silence too in this chapter. This is another place. So you have in like a very few, you talk about the hollow whisper and the granite silence right there with each other. But
exactly.
One thing else, and he talks about a decade, another term of time. He wrote on the jar, rattlesnakes rattles. And so that was like, I wonder if there's any, and I don't know that this is a clue, but I do know that this is a thing. I wonder if there's any rattlesnake trail or rattlesnake river. And it turns out in Montana, there is a rattlesnake creek and a rattlesnake trail, and they're part of the rattlesnake wilderness.
Well, there's also, you were out there was the Rattlesnake Cliffs.
Yep.
So,
right. But these are official still locations called Rattlesnake Trail, Rattlesnake Creek in the Rattlesnake Wilderness, which is just outside of, it backs right up to Bob Marshall Wilderness, which is on the map. It also has another wilderness area called Scapegoat Wilderness. I thought all of those things, when you think about the poem and how it talks about like the twisted tales and stuff, like a scapegoat is almost like a good like falsehood or a false lead kind of thing. I thought that was very interesting. And the hollow whispers, he holds the rattlers that he takes because his grandpa cut them up or chopped off the rattles as well and threw them in the jar. He said they're time-stamped. The sound they made was granite silence and his need to prove himself.
Yeah, his grandpa's granite silence, which I thought was very interesting because granite's in the poem, silence in the poem. But you're also talking about things named Rattlesnake Trail and Rattlesnake, stuff like that. And he also mentioned he had a front row seat to the greatest snake romance since anaconda, which is italicized in the book.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
It's a title. It's a title.
Right.
It's italicized.
It's a title. Yep. Well, you don't need to italicize it. You could just basically put a capital. You could just capitalize it. But there's also a town in Montana called Anaconda. I'm pretty sure there's an Anaconda River. So I definitely marked that down because as we were doing research in Montana while you were there this last week, I was like, oh man, look at this Anaconda stuff. Where do I know that from? And it turns out to be from his favorite story. So I
will find this one line that he put in here super interesting though, when he was talking about the rattlesnakes being in his grandfather's pocket walking back, and he said, everything grandpa's pocket will, with every step, the weight of everything unsaid, how fear tastes like copper, how being wrong feels like falling, how love sometimes only shows itself through what we surrender but never speak of. It just seems like there's so much underlying tone in that's bigger than that the story of putting 2 rattlesnake tails into your pocket, you know.
No, I agree with you, definitely. So it definitely feels like there's other possible correlations in that, you know. I did also find he mentions like copper and iron and stone and granite, and I just thought it was a lot of metals and rocks and stuff like that. You know, I didn't notice it in a lot of other chapters, but I did notice it in this one. And then the only other thing I had was at the end, he said there was a warning, a soft memory. And I know a lot of people think that very first opening part of the poem is about memories, right? And so this would be considered in that.
I will tell you that I did look when watching Golden Greed. On every shelf, I stopped and hunted to see if the jar was there.
We both of us the same. I looked for that jar of Rattlers. He said it's dusty, so it must be somewhere else. So
right, you know. There's so many options of where it could be for sure. Before we go on to the Conquistador's Conquest, do you think this is where we cut it? This has gone a little bit longer.
Well, you know, that's the thing is this chapter, it turned out to be a big chapter. I mean, we had to extra review it. I think we wanted to get up to Gracie's Grail. That's the one I'm dying to get to, but we didn't get there. We still have 2 more to go before Gracie's Grail. I think we definitely cut it here first. What is that? What are those books behind you? Why you got so many books behind you?
I wonder what I'm going to do with those books. I wonder what I'm going to do with all those books.
Anyways,
so Scott's cutting another clip from Montana of the Beaverhead Monument, which is actually a big, massive mountain rock, and that was one of the coolest things ever. He's cutting that right now while we were doing this. I will tell you that I think we really need to dig in and see if there's anything to be said for the rattlesnake wilderness. I think that's the possibility, because it's in quotes like that, such the potential of a big clue. Or a spot, and I think that you should really consider coming to meet me in Montana the week after Mother's Day.
Yes, I am going to try to make it out. I've also been trying to get back to Tahoe because in May, hopefully there's less snow, and I'm heading to Tahoe as soon as I can. As soon as I know that there's not a lot of snow, I'm
going to come out to you in June around, the day that we don't.
It's too late. I'm going to already have the treasure in hand by then. I already had that in hand.
Little TTI action. You notice there's a couple TTIs there too. What? Well,
I'm actually waiting for the Gracie. I want to see the Gracies. I want to see this place
as well. See, there's a lot to be. There's a lot to unpack at Gracie's. It almost is 2 different videos, and it wasn't even open.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's tough when you guys are out boots on the ground pretty much every day last week. So how are you supposed to also then make time for videos and stuff? So that's
we're gonna go out to dinner tonight, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna try to get another 8 hours and see if I can catch my face up to what's used to getting.
You need that sleep. But thank you all for watching.
Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for watching. And thank you again.
We really appreciate you guys.
Everybody who subscribes and getting us over that 1,000 subscribers mark. There's so much we'd like to bring to you. We can't even begin to tell you how grateful we are. Thank you so much for being here and for watching us.
Thanks.
Treasure hunt with us, we gon' light it up. There's treasure inside, yeah, we rising up. If you're gonna treasure hunt, why not treasure hunt with us? We the ones, we the truth.